The WNBA just got hit with its most devastating reality check yet. A leaked Saudi report just valued Caitlin Clark at $50 million per year, making her worth 10 times more than any other player in the entire league. And it's sending shockwaves through women's basketball. But here's what nobody's talking about. A'ja Wilson, the three-time MVP who's dominated this league for years, is watching her entire legacy crumble in real time. The woman who was supposed to be the face of women's basketball just became a footnote in Caitlin Clark's story, and the meltdown that followed exposed everything wrong with the WNBA today. Think about this for a second. A'ja Wilson has been in this league for 7 years. 7 years of dominance, championships, MVP trophies. Yet, most basketball fans couldn't pick her out of a lineup until Caitlin Clark showed up. That's not an opinion. That's a fact, backed by brutal numbers. Before Clark entered the league, WNBA games averaged around 400,000 viewers. Clark's games? They're pulling 1.2 million on average, with some hitting 2.8 million. If you found this shocking, hit that like button and let me know in the comments, did the WNBA create its own worst nightmare by not promoting its stars properly? But that wasn't the whole story. The Saudi Basketball Federation didn't just throw out random numbers. They conducted a comprehensive market analysis that measured everything: social media engagement, international appeal, merchandising potential, streaming numbers. And when those results came in, they exposed a truth so harsh that WNBA executives are scrambling to control the narrative. Caitlin Clark isn't just the most valuable player, she is the brand. Her name alone moves millions in jersey sales, ticket prices, and sponsorship deals. If her name's attached to something, it prints money faster than the Federal Reserve. Here's where it gets really messy. Nike had already thrown down a record-shattering $28 million endorsement deal for Clark, the biggest in women's basketball history. But after the announcement, complete silence. No commercials, no signature shoe rollout, no marketing campaign, nothing. And that nothing got loud real fast. Fans started asking uncomfortable questions. Why would Nike hand out that kind of deal, then disappear like they're in witness protection? The rumors that followed were explosive. Inside sources claimed Nike was terrified of the backlash if they gave a white rookie her own shoe before A'ja Wilson, their longtime MVP athlete who's been waiting years for her moment. That's when Wilson dropped her now infamous cryptic social media post, "What's delayed isn't denied." She didn't name names, but everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. Translation? I'm tired of being ignored while this rookie gets everything handed to her. What happened next would shock everyone. The internet split into two warring camps overnight. Half said Clark's rise was great for the game, bringing unprecedented attention and money to women's basketball. The other half screamed favoritism, claiming it was proof of who the media chooses to crown based on marketability rather than merit. But underneath all that noise, the real tension bubbled up: race, marketability, and the uncomfortable question of what actually sells in women's sports. Let's talk facts that nobody wants to discuss. Analysts brought up how Sheryl Swoopes was the first woman to get a signature Nike shoe back in the 90s, a groundbreaking moment for Black female athletes. But since then, nearly every woman with a shoe line has been white. So when Nike seemingly crowned Clark before Wilson, it didn't feel like progress to many. It felt like the same old story being repeated. Then came the bombshell that changed everything. Leaked internal reports claimed Nike was deliberately delaying Clark's shoe launch until 2026 for optics. They supposedly didn't want to upset WNBA veterans and fans by putting Clark's line out before Wilson's. If true, that meant Nike had boxed itself into such a massive public relations nightmare that they literally froze, trying to please everyone and ultimately pleasing absolutely no one. Meanwhile, Clark's influence was exploding globally in ways nobody anticipated. But here's the twist that flipped everything upside down. After months of silence and speculation, Nike finally announced A'ja Wilson's long-awaited signature shoe, the A1, set for release in 2025. Fans celebrated like it was vindication, justice finally served. But then the truth leaked out, and it was more shocking than anyone imagined. Wilson had known about her shoe deal for 2 entire years. She'd been under a non-disclosure agreement the whole time, unable to say anything, while fans fought her battles online. Think about what that means. While supporters accused Nike of disrespect and favoritism, while the internet raged about injustice, A'ja Wilson already had her deal secured and was just waiting for the marketing timeline. The supposed rivalry, the anger, the outrage, it had all been fueled by rumors and bad timing rather than actual snubs. But by that point, the damage was done. The narrative had already been written, and it belonged entirely to Caitlin Clark. Now let's talk about what's happening right now in 2025 that has Wilson and other veterans absolutely losing it. Clark's influence has transcended basketball in ways that should terrify WNBA leadership. European leagues are offering her unprecedented contracts for the offseason. Middle Eastern investment groups are preparing packages that would make NBA players jealous. The Saudi League's $50 million valuation wasn't just a number thrown around for headlines. It's a legitimate offer they're prepared to make. Here's what's really destroying Wilson's mental state about this whole situation. She just came off another dominant season, putting up MVP-caliber numbers, leading her team deep into the playoffs. Yet every single conversation, every headline, every sponsorship discussion somehow circles back to Caitlin Clark. A player who's been in the league for less than 2 full seasons has completely hijacked the narrative from someone who's been grinding for 7 years. The numbers don't lie, and they're absolutely brutal for anyone not named Caitlin Clark. She's responsible for 26% of all WNBA economic activity. Let that sink in. One player, 1/4 of the entire league's financial impact. The Indiana Fever's franchise value jumped from $90 million to $340 million. That's not growth. That's an explosion. She's expected to help drive $875 million to $1 billion in revenue for 2025 alone. But wait, it gets even crazier. The WNBA Finals without Clark turned into an absolute disaster. Championship game tickets were going for $6. $6 for a professional sports championship! You can't even get a beer at most arenas for that price. The Las Vegas Aces versus Phoenix Mercury Finals averaged fewer viewers than regular season games featuring Clark. It was one of the lowest-rated WNBA finals in recent history, and everyone knows exactly why. What really stings for Wilson and other veterans is this uncomfortable truth. They needed Clark more than Clark needs them. While they spent years playing in half-empty arenas, begging for media coverage, fighting for respect, Clark walked in and changed everything overnight. She didn't wait her turn, didn't pay her dues, didn't follow the unwritten rules. She just showed up and became bigger than the entire league combined. The international response has been even more telling. Clark's highlights trend in multiple languages across social media platforms. Her jersey is the top seller not just in America, but in countries that barely knew women's basketball existed 2 years ago. When she got injured earlier this season, the league's viewership dropped by 40% overnight. 40%? That's not a star player, that's a one-woman economic engine. Here's the part that should terrify WNBA executives. The Saudi League isn't the only one watching. Chinese basketball organizations, known for throwing massive contracts at NBA players, have started making inquiries. European leagues are preparing competitive packages. The new unrivaled 3-on-3 league is reportedly ready to offer Clark unprecedented creative control and revenue sharing. The WNBA's monopoly on top women's basketball talent is crumbling, and they might lose their biggest asset. Wilson's frustration boiled over in a recent interview where she said something that revealed everything. She claimed the media only cares about certain types of players, that there's a double standard in coverage. She's not wrong, but she's also missing the bigger picture. The media covers what sells, and right now, nothing sells like Caitlin Clark. It's not personal, it's business, and business is booming wherever Clark's name appears. The racial dynamics can't be ignored either, and they're adding fuel to an already explosive situation. Many Black players feel overlooked despite their achievements, and they have valid points. But here's the harsh reality. Marketability in sports has never been solely about talent. It's about story, personality, timing, and yes, sometimes appearance. Clark hit the perfect storm of all these factors, and pretending otherwise helps nobody. What's happening behind closed doors is even more dramatic. League sources report that veteran players are increasingly frustrated with the attention disparity. Some are openly questioning whether they should explore international options themselves if the WNBA can't properly market its established stars. The locker room dynamics have become toxic in some teams, with clear divisions between Clark supporters and those who resent her rapid rise. Subscribe right now if you want to see how this massive controversy unfolds, because what happens next could literally determine the future of women's basketball. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and the path they choose will define the sport for the next decade. The Nike situation has gotten even messier in 2025. Despite Wilson finally getting her shoe announcement, the rollout has been underwhelming compared to the hype machine that follows Clark everywhere. Wilson's shoe launch event drew modest crowds, while Clark's mere appearance at a sneaker store causes stampedes. The optics are devastating for someone who's worked 7 years for this moment. Here's what nobody's talking about, but everyone's thinking. If Caitlin Clark decides to take that Saudi money, the WNBA is finished as we know it. They can't match $50 million. They can't even match $5 million for most players. The entire salary cap for a WNBA team is less than $2 million. Clark alone could make 25 times that overseas. The math isn't just bad, it's catastrophic. The league's response has been pathetic. Instead of figuring out how to keep their golden goose happy, they're doubling down on promoting league parity and veteran recognition. That's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic while the iceberg is right there. They're so concerned about hurt feelings that they're ignoring the economic tsunami headed their way. Wilson's latest social media posts have been increasingly bitter, though she tries to mask it with motivational quotes and championship photos. But everyone can read between the lines. She's watching someone achieve in 2 years what she couldn't accomplish in 7, and it's eating her alive. The 3-time champion, the multiple MVP winner, reduced to a supporting character in the Caitlin Clark show. The international offers aren't just about money either. They're offering Clark something the WNBA never could, the chance to be the undisputed face of a league. No politics, no veteran jealousy, no walking on eggshells, just pure basketball and marketing potential unleashed. The Saudi League is reportedly willing to build an entire women's division around her, making her not just a player, but a founding partner. Meanwhile, the WNBA keeps making unforced errors. Their recent decision to expand the playoff format diluted the regular season importance. Their scheduling still conflicts with major sporting events. They're still playing in smaller venues, while Clark-featured games could fill NBA arenas. It's organizational malpractice at the highest level, and everyone except league leadership seems to see it. The bottom line is this: A'ja Wilson isn't really mad at Caitlin Clark. She's mad at a system that failed to market her properly for 7 years, then watched a rookie come in and prove that women's basketball could be massive if promoted correctly. She's mad that her championships and MVPs mean less to the public than Clark's flashy passes and three-pointers. She's mad that she played by all the rules and waited her turn, only to watch someone else skip the line entirely. But here's the brutal truth Wilson needs to accept: sports has never been fair. It's never been about who works the hardest or who deserves it most. It's about who captures the public imagination, who moves the needle, who makes people care. And right now, that's Caitlin Clark by a Mewis. Fighting against that reality is like fighting against gravity, exhausting, and ultimately pointless. The question isn't whether Clark will leave for international money. The question is when and what the WNBA will look like after she's gone. Will they finally learn their lesson about marketing and promotion? Will they figure out how to create more stars instead of suppressing them for parity? Or will they continue making the same mistakes that kept them irrelevant for 25 years before Clark showed up? Drop a comment below with your prediction. Will Caitlin Clark take the international money and leave the WNBA in ruins? Or will the league finally wake up and give her the platform she deserves? Because one thing's certain: the clock is ticking, and once Clark walks away, she's never coming back. The WNBA better figure it out fast, or they'll be remembered as the league that had basketball's next global superstar and let her slip away over ego and politics.